there, this is Shaheen from the Toasty Family Trails. Today we're going to talk about a word which we often use, especially in our busy lives today. The word in question is confusion. We are so confused most of the times with the whole array of options we have in absolutely everything. We go to order food, there are so many options. We do try to do online shopping and then we end up wasting so much time because there are so many options and we're spoiled. So we cannot decide on something, right? Now, are there degrees of confusion? Yes, there are. So today we're going to discuss some synonyms for being confused. Are you ready for this lesson? Let's get started. Now let's start with this word. What is the meaning of being confused? You are confused when you're not sure, when you can't think straight. So when you are not sure of something, you are uncertain, you are confused. For instance, as I said, you go to order food and there's so many options, you are confused. Or sometimes, supposing you're a student and you have a math quiz and certain questions on the quiz are very confusing. You cannot understand them. So when you cannot understand them, you're not sure of the answer, you are confused, okay? Or supposing somebody asks you for directions and you're also new in that place, then you're confused. Now, let's talk about going through something which is like a greater degree of confusion. What's the word that you can use when you're totally confused? You say you are bewildered. Now, let's decode this word. Be and wilder. That's how you make this new word, bewildered. So you have a prefix, be. Now, what does the prefix be mean? Whenever you attach be to any word, it is like an intensifier. That means it makes the meaning stronger of the word that follows it. So, wilder means to go astray, kind of like you're being lost, okay? So supposing somebody took you into the woods or into the wilderness and left you there, you'd feel lost, right? So that's the feeling of bewilderment or being bewildered, all right? Supposing you were just invited for a party to a friend's house and you had no idea that the party was actually for you. So when you walk in and everybody says surprise, you have an expression of bewilderment. You're bewildered, you're shocked, right? In a good way though, all right? So bewildered means that you're totally confused. So it could have a positive connotation, like I gave you the example of a birthday party, a surprise party for you. Or it could have a negative connotation too. For instance, there was an award ceremony and they were like, awarding the movie stars, and an actress refused to take her award and she walked off the stage. So the audience would be bewildered. They would feel a sense of confusion, like why did she refuse, right? So you could have bewildered expressions, you could have a bewildered reaction to something. You could face bewilderment when you come across something which you found really, really confusing, okay? You'd feel bewildered, all right? Now, let's think about another degree which is higher than being bewildered, a greater degree of confusion. The next word we're going to talk about is baffled. So when you're baffled, you're totally bewildered. So you see how we built on? We have being confused, and then you have bewildered, which means you're absolutely confused, and then you have baffled, which means you're totally bewildered. Now, when you're baffled, you are so confused that you're stumped. Everything comes to a standstill. You cannot think at all. So you just stop in your tracks and you're like, what just happened? This is the feeling you go through. And when that happens, you say, I was baffled. Okay, now let me give you an example. Like when Galileo, he suggested that the sun is at the center of our solar system, and it's not like what people earlier thought. They used to think that the earth was at the center of the solar system. It's this kind of belief system where they felt that we are so important, absolutely everything has to be around us. And when Galileo suggested that it's actually the sun at the center, everyone was baffled. everything came to a standstill. There was a great talk, and he ruffled a lot of feathers because of this. People were absolutely baffled, like in the sense of being shocked. You're so confused, like, what just happened? What did he just say? Okay, how could he even say that? Now, another instance I can give you is supposing Tony was baffled when his 6-year-old started quoting Shakespeare, because you don't expect a 6-year-old to do that, right? So whenever you come across something which you find very confusing in a strange way, and it makes you feel like, whoa, what just happened? So you're baffled. Now let's go a notch higher and talk about another word which is greater degree of confusion. All right, so when you are more confused, you're not just baffled, you are perplexed. Now, what's the meaning of being perplexed? Perplexed also talks about confusion, but it also involves being worried. So you're not just confused, but you're also worried, okay? So supposing there's a mystery case and there is a child missing. God forbid that happens to anyone, but there's somebody, maybe a person missing. So the detectives are looking for clues. They do not find anything. They cannot find any trace of the missing person, and they find the case rather perplexing. So they're not only confused because they can't find any clues, but they're also worried because there's a missing person involved. So you see, being perplexed involved being worried, plus you're confused, okay? Even at times you're trying to solve an issue and you cannot find the solution, so you are perplexed. So you can say it in degrees, like I was slightly perplexed about the situation, or to a greater degree, I was rather perplexed, or I was extremely perplexed, okay? Or I find astrophysics rather perplexing, all right? So now we know that being confused is the first degree of being uncertain. Then we have bewildered, which means you're absolutely confused. Then we have baffled, when you're totally bewildered. And then you have perplexed. Perplexed meaning you're absolutely baffled, okay? Now, let's go to another word. Now, this is the last word that we're going to discuss, which shows an absolutely greater degree of confusion. The last word is disoriented. Now, we are going to decode this word again. So it is made out of two word parts, dis and oriented. So what's the meaning of dis? The prefix dis, whenever it is attached to any word, it immediately negates it. It has a reversing effect. So dis means not, okay? Like in the sense when you say something is disorganized, you mean it's not organized. So what is the meaning of oriented? As I said, the word is disoriented. So this means not, and orientation is all about alignment. It's about how you relate one thing to the others around it, to something or some place. So it is all about positioning something. So disoriented meaning you lose your position, kind of. You're not positioned rightly, in the sense that you are so confused that you lose any sense of time, space, and also your own identity. So this is a very high degree of confusion. Now, it's also at times related to certain medical conditions, like people who have memory loss, or they're suffering from Alzheimer, or suddenly they fall, or they have a concussion. Then you would be disoriented. When you wake up, you have no sense of who you are or where you are, so you lose sense of everything. You are disoriented, okay? At times it could be a slighter degree when you use it in context of like you at times, like, travel. When you travel and you have jet lag, and when you go to another place, you suddenly you're kind of disoriented. You have brain fog, you can't think clearly. So you can say, I feel a little disoriented because of the jet lag. Think about a prisoner. He's been kept in isolation for a long time because maybe he's a dangerous criminal, but for any reason he's been kept away from all social interaction. He is absolutely alone in one cell. And when they finally release him after a long time, he would feel disoriented. He wouldn't know how to connect with other people. He would also lose sense of time and space because he's been kept alone. He has nothing by which he can, even try and realize how much time he has lost in that cell. All right. So I hope these examples have made the word clear to you, and now you know how to use these words in particular contexts. Okay, let's recapitulate quickly. The first word we discussed was confusion, being uncertain, being unsure. Then we spoke about being bewildered, which is a higher degree of confusion. You're absolutely confused. Next, we spoke about being baffled, when you're so confused that everything in life comes to a standstill. All right. Next, you are perplexed. You're utterly baffled, okay? And it means that you're not only confused, but you're also worried about the outcome. Next, the last stage, you are disoriented. You have lost all sense of time, place, and identity. I hope you found this video helpful, and please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to us, and it also motivates us to create more helpful videos. I'll see you again next time, inshallah, very soon. Bye.